So I've been suggested this game called Leaden Sky, which is another early access game like the last one I reviewed, though this one is free and it's in a much earlier stage than Maximum Action. I really have to emphasize on the fact that it's early access because it's in a very early alpha version and it's only meant to give a feel for the game and show the atmosphere. There isn't a lot to the game, so I'm just gonna comment on the things that doesn't work for me and the things that do work for me. I'll review this game again in the future when there's been added more to see if it's gotten better or worse, and to just like compare the two reviews, because I think that would be pretty interesting to see. Anyways, you can go download Leaden Sky in the link down below in the description, and that's for free, of course. So let's get into this review. Leaden Sky is described as an upcoming side-scrolling run-and-gun shooter with an emphasis on brutal gore mechanics and visceral horrifying action. And that description describes it pretty well, I would say, because the game is extremely gory and is, of course, a run-and-gun shooter. But I've made a list of pros and cons, and I just think we should get into that. The things that I personally think work and the things that I personally think don't work. I'll start off with the cons. Remember, it's in a very early stage of development. These are just my thoughts from playing this version of the game. So when you start up the game, the first thing you see is the menu. The menu is very empty and plain. There are 3 options to choose from, and then there is the cover art from the game. The menu is very empty and quiet. There's no music to get you hyped for what you're getting into. Just plain emptiness. Now, going into the game, the first thing I noticed was that I had a lot of weapons. I switched between them and tried to shoot with each one of them, but then I noticed something. You aren't able to reload in this game. I find it a little weird, but as I played more, I found out it's because you're supposed to pick up ammo from dead enemies, and when you've used it all, you just run out of ammo. Not having to reload makes the game way too easy. You just run, shoot, pick up ammo, run, shoot, pick up ammo, and so on. And I know it's a run and gun game, but this is a little too easy. If you had to reload, you wouldn't be able to just keep shooting and running, because then you would have to stay back sometimes to reload instead of just spamming bullets. It works not to reload in some games, but not really in this one. The next thing I noticed was that I had an AI ally following me along, but just after 2 minutes she got stuck somewhere. Like, I think she was stuck in the side of the screen. It was very weird. I don't even know what happened. I then restarted the game and later she would just disappear. So basically it's very dumb AI, and having an ally just seems pointless when the AI just gets stuck at the side of the screen or just disappears out of nowhere. Definitely something to be worked on. Also, another thing I want to add to that point is that it feels good to shoot and see the gore happen in game, but after a while it gets boring to just run and gun and nothing else. There is a good amount of weapons and different things in the environment. You can even blow up walls and stuff. But to just run forward and shoot without really being able to die because you don't have to reload and you keep picking up ammo, it gets boring and repetitive and too easy. Also noticed that some enemies started shooting me before they were on screen, which I don't think is supposed to happen, but I was able to shoot right back, so not that big of a deal. Also, another thing that would be nice for future update is different types of enemies. That could be really cool and make the levels feel more fresh. Now, also noticed something very weird. You're not able to look all the way around your character. Like, you don't have a 360 view, if that makes sense. You can't look directly down or up, which I found pretty weird for this type of game. You're also not able to crouch or go prone. Well, at least you're not able to crouch while walking. You can stop and hit S to crouch, but you can't move while being crouched. I think it would be nice to just, you know, crouch and walk while crouching. Can you say that? Can you walk while crouching? I think so. Also, I noticed something else. This is more of a joke, but the character you play as really looks like the YouTuber J-Station. I can't be the only one to notice that. Now, in terms of the environment, it's very empty. You're able to use a grappling hook to go around, but it becomes very useless when there aren't that much to grapple onto. Also, sadly, you can't use the hook to hit enemies with, which could have been really cool, but besides that, it's really cool to have a grappling hook, and it works great. The environment in the first level is fine. It's a bit empty, but that's enough to make it a bit interesting. But then you go to the next level, which is a night level, and that level is just very empty. Random enemies in the same buildings over and over. You also have a flashlight, but it doesn't really light up anything because you can see everything behind you while pointing the flashlight forward. Also, when I went to the level, my AI ally disappeared, which I don't really understand, but maybe that's on purpose, I don't know. And the last con, I know I've said many bad things now, but just wait for the pros, okay? The last con is that I noticed that if you put a gun right to someone's face and shoot, you shoot right past the face instead of shooting him in the face. A little weird, but luckily it only happened a few times, so didn't really notice it that much, didn't find it as a problem, but it was a thing that happened. And also the music and sound cut out sometimes, like just suddenly out of nowhere. I don't really know why. I tried to figure out if it was when I did a certain action, but it wasn't, it just happened. Anyways, now to the pros, the reason why you should check out the game. So first off, the graphics are good and look fine. I really like the style used. Basically, I have nothing to complain about in terms of graphics. It looks good. Blood splatter, gore, explosions, and the bullets being shot from your weapon looks really good and feels good to look at. The weapons also feel good to shoot with, and you're able to grab enemies and hold them by their neck while beating or shooting their heads off, which is a nice little feature. You're also able to zoom in and out with C and X, which is a really nice feature for people who want to zoom in on the action. Also, as I mentioned earlier, you're able to destroy the environment, and even though there isn't a lot of buildings to destroy, the ones that you are able to destroy are really fun to blow up and shoot. Destruction fits really well with the gore stuff. The sounds also pretty good, and I really like listening to the weapons shoot and hitting enemies in the face or in the chest, and the big explosions, loud sounds. It sounds good, though it does lack some music, but it is in early access still, so I hope that the music is being worked on at least. Now, something else that is really cool is that you can shoot weapons out of enemies' hands and see them run scared shitless because they stand with bare hands, while you stand with a huge shotgun right in front of them. And sometimes when you've shot someone, they'll lay on the ground and scream while bleeding out, holding their hand at where they've been shot, trying to keep the blood in. It looks really cool and works great, but it's also very disturbing. You're also able to shoot every part of the enemy's bodies. There's a lot of details in the enemy's design and in the gore. Like, there's really too much attention to detail. It's really nice. And something weird I noticed too is that you can hit L on your keyboard and suddenly everyone starts burning. And when you do that, you can see their flesh slowly burning away, which is really crazy to look at, and it's pretty scary. Also, your character is full of bullet holes after being shot, which is a nice little touch. And when you hit enemies in the face with your hands, they get black eyes or their eyes pop out, which is disturbing again, but it's cool. And when you shoot enemies' feet, they fall to their knees just looking at you. There's really a lot of attention to detail on those types of things, which is really nice. And the last thing on my list is that you're able to add a second player by hitting J. I don't really know how to control him yet, but you're able to. So if you can play co-op in this game, that's really nice too. Anyways, that was basically my list of pros and cons. Remember that it's in very, very early access, and it's just to show the gameplay and what the developer is working on. So that's that. That's Leaden Sky, which you can go play right now. Link in the description, and it's pretty cool. So why not check it out? And it's free, so you know. I guess I have to give it a score now to compare with my score in the future when it's been updated a little more. So I guess I'll give it a 2.5 out of 5 right now, at least in this stage. But that was all. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you'll go check it out. If the developer is watching, I'm sorry if I butchered the game a little too much at the start, but I was asked to do this. I'm sorry. Anyways, thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.